Hi, I'm Steve Paulus, and this is another episode of Capital Conversations. With me is John Biedenstein. We're going to talk today about an interesting article. Well, I thought it was interesting. You'll determine that. If of the 5 best and 5 worst locations to retire in. John, what would you say, if I had to ask you a question, what would you say off the top of your head is the worst place to retire?
Don't want to pick on the Pacific Coast, but I would have thought California would be on that list.
You would think, because you hear about high cost of living, hear about high taxation, all of that.
The storms coming through, they happen to be doing it right now, but unfortunately.
Yeah, their first tropical storm right now. Well, actually, it's a little bit further west. According to one of this survey, it was done through Bankrate, the number 1 worst state to retire in is Alaska. Now, it surprised me because I thought it would kind of be a nice place, if you wanted to be out and about. The next worst states were kind of more understandable. New York, California, Washington, and then Massachusetts. So most of these are, with the exception of New York, Massachusetts, are all on the West Coast. So you're right. One of the things that I wondered is, you have to think about affordability. And that's something that folks don't always think about because you think, well, I have a house, but a lot of folks downsize when they get to retirement.
A lot of folks downsize, and you got to think affordability in the home, but affordability for healthcare and all those other things are factored into this. So they did a good job of, different things to consider.
That's right.
When they made this determination.
They did.
So a couple of factors were affordability, well-being, healthcare quality and cost.
One of the things that I thought was good is the way they weighted them too. Affordability, as you pointed out, is 40% of the weighting, and that's a big thing because it's not just can you afford your house. It's like how much are groceries, how much is it to repair your car, how much is it to just live your daily life, and a lot of those factors are important. Weather was also an important factor. One of the points in the article they made about Alaska was, yes, it can get down to 50 degrees below zero, which is not everywhere, but you kind of want to move as far away from that as possible, I think, when you retire. The other thing is crime, and crime was not weighted very heavily, but it still is a factor. Let me ask you another question. What do you think is the number 1 state to retire in?
Show me Missouri.
Homer. Actually, Missouri's in the top 5.
How about that?
And our neighbor to the north, number 1, Iowa. Iowa's number 1. Number 2 is East Coast, Delaware. Then West Virginia. Then the Show Me State, Missouri, and then Mississippi. And again, you listen to these, and you think, well, that wouldn't be some of my first choices, but you then go back to the question of affordability.
Correct.
My goodness, you've got the things that you have to pay for are just tremendously much cheaper generally in this area than they are on the coasts. So that's a big issue.
Yeah, and it's very interesting, the states they're more central states, with the exception of West Virginia. Lower cost of living states, I think. With our clients and the retirement plan participants we work with, we're kind of in the Midwest, but we stretch to both coasts.
Absolutely.
So we do see it. I was surprised a little bit to see that our neighboring state of Illinois, which has a tax incentive where they do not tax retirement plan distributions, income, I should say, that wasn't on the list, but it's surprising, but
it's good news, I guess.
It's good news.
One of the things that I was pleased about is and you know about this as well, is the Senate Bill 488 that was just went into law. I guess it was July 1st, where Missouri doesn't tax Social Security anymore. So that's a real plus. We were one of only 12 or 13 states, I think, that taxed it. So now we're giving people who are retiring a great break on that one.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. It is only intended to provide education about the financial industry. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, Consult your financial advisor prior to investing. As always, please remember investing involves risk and possible loss of principal capital. Please seek advice from a licensed professional. Correct Capital Wealth Management is a registered investment advisor. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where Correct Capital Wealth Management and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. No advice may be rendered by Correct Capital Wealth Management unless a client service agreement is in place.